I'm going to start off this video by saying I think today's world is a place of extreme privilege. Not all parts of it, but as you know, I'm from the UK. I'm going to speak about what I know. I'm sure most people watching are from places similar. Maybe the US, maybe Canada, maybe somewhere else in Europe. But that's where most of my viewers seem to be from. So with that being context, our part of the world, at the very least, is nice, it's peaceful, it's expensive, and it's becoming more expensive as time goes on, that's very obvious, but it's not a bad place to live. It comes with a lot of advantages, and I suppose in terms of the scale of the whole world, we are living in the best part for opportunities, and well, an all-rounded easy life. It's really good, it's really good, but it's not perfect. And there are a lot of social issues, I suppose, and other factors, economic issues, that both here in the UK, in Europe, and obviously in the US as well, could do with being solved. We'd be in a much better place if we did. But my point is, yeah, we have got issues. But for most people, say in the UK, the biggest thing that they're concerned about is their finances. It's not great when you can't pay the bills. It's not great when the car costs a fortune. But in terms of the scale of what life could be, it's pretty good going. Now, I hear people all the time talking about how bad places like the UK, the US and Europe are. Like I say, everywhere's got its problems, but it's a real privileged part of the world to live in. And that's why people basically risk their lives to come here, right? We know this. People risk their entire lives to come to countries like this. So it can't be that bad in the world scale. I think it's really good. Anyway, because things are so, well, easy, I think we live in a time where, well, it's a common phrase, isn't it? You know, hard times create strong people, easy times create weak or soft people. And I think that's kind of how I would word it. We live in a time where so many people feel nervous about things, they have issues in life, they have confidence issues, and they haven't achieved much. Now, that's not a matter of life or death anymore. You know, there's a lot of factors that can keep you sustained, even if you're not particularly successful, which is good, right? That's a good thing. But I think a consequence of it can be the lack of desire to achieve, and also the ability to focus on bad things. In the past week or two specifically, I'm genuinely quite happy, right? I couldn't really want for much more. Not really. We could talk about things like, you know, it'd be nice to have a Lamborghini and not drive around in a broken down Volkswagen Golf, but really, I don't want for anything, you know. I've had a great couple of weeks. I think life's fine. Every single day that I wake up, I've got certain issues on my mind. That's not me complaining, it's not me saying, oh, you know, people should feel sorry for me. It's a fact of life. I run multiple businesses, and the more businesses that I'm building, the more the workload is increasing, the more the income is increasing. But what's the potential downside of running all of these businesses? There's always something going wrong. Now for me, it's fine, it's fun, it's funny, and more importantly, it's part of the process. I don't really care, right? This business has got this problem and I've got to fill out this report for this and blah blah blah. It's fine, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But these are the only issues that I really think about. The issues in front of my face. I'm trying to build a business, a big income, whether that's in one business or a few. I'm trying to build something for my future. So I need to focus on these issues, whether people like it or not. And I get all the time, it's like, oh, you're working too hard, you want to take a break, you look stressed. It's like, well, duh. I'd be disappointed if I didn't. You know, in terms of me, my background, my, if you want to word it like that, is being partially Jamaican and being partially Scottish. So in terms of England, coming to England, you could make the argument that both sides of my family are immigrants, right? But less about that fact and more about how they lived in the UK. This is my grandparents. We're talking genuine hard work, right? Down mines and stuff like that. The pay might have been fine, and well, they seem to always be happy in life. But the point is this: that's hard work. That's what I consider hard work. And that's the people, right, who have laid the foundations for who me and my family have become. Now, from what I've heard from my grandparents, the hardest to work stories from back in the day actually come from England. And I think most people from the UK and perhaps even other countries who have roots in that country that go back maybe 3-4 generations will understand this. The fact that work used to be hard and life used to be harder. There was perhaps certain times where it's been easier, especially recently, but you get the point, right? It was in the past way more difficult. And I only say this because it's a bit of context both to who I am and what the world used to be like. Now for me, you know, I was born in the UK. I was born into this privileged part of the world. But even so, it feels sometimes like I see and perhaps understand something that other people don't. You know, it's almost encouraged nowadays to be below average. I feel like this is so much the case. And I understand it, the world's not perfect. We've all got some sort of problems for ourselves, from our past issues and stuff like that. I am no exception to this, right? And I don't know anybody that is. Now, two things can be true at the same time, right? It can be true that we have our own personal problems, because we do, we all do. But it can be true as well that we might be going the wrong way about dealing with them. It is, in my eyes, necessary to process our problems and our trauma. If we don't do this, we'll never move past it. Some might disagree with that, but I think it's a fact. So anyone that said that, I'd 100% agree. It's very much the case that we've all got problems, we've all had issues. Some of them might be small to others, some of them might be big to others. But we all have our side of the spectrum, right? And if we don't acknowledge this, we'll never set ourselves free and we'll never be truly happy. I'd very easily accept the argument that, I don't know, maybe discovering yourself or finding true happiness could be a lifelong journey, and I'm very much for the idea of lifelong learning. Why wouldn't you do that? But whilst many people will agree with that message, there's a part of it that I really don't agree with at all. And that is the fact that it can't be processed, right? Yes, there's always going to be troubles, both on a day-to-day basis and historically. But it's like we seem to always like to bring this up nowadays, or at least that's what I've realised. And a consequence of that is, it's always on our mind. You know, I don't feel it necessary to go over my certain issues and stuff in a video like this. But for a bit of an example, right, let's just pick any issue. On a day-to-day basis where I've got to go to the gym, do some work, I don't know, catch up with some assignments, stuff like that, why do I want to be thinking about something that happened the best part of 10, 15, 20 years ago? You know, we seem to agree with a worldview that keeps us in the past. I mean, think about it. Like I say, it's important to think about these things. But to what point? It's like we're told nowadays that, you know, being miserable, being unhappy, is all okay. And is it? I mean, I don't ever think it's okay to be unhappy. I have days where I'm unhappy. I have days where I'm nervous and worried and all that sort of stuff. But it's not a good feeling. When I'm in those days, yeah, I have a think about why that is. But what I don't do is think about all of the worst things on my mind. Maybe it's an opposite side of the same coin, I don't know, but it's an interesting thing, right? Because when I'm doing it, I have a think about stuff, I have a think about what my immediate problems are. I have to face up to them. But once all that's done, right, once I've had to think about it and done my best to think about what I can do about that in the day, you know what I do next? I have to move on. I have to move on. You know, in a world where we've got multiple businesses to manage, friendships and relationships to deal with, and that sort of stuff, a lot of the time I've got to get on with things, right? I've got to get on with things, and you know what a direct consequence of that is? I might have ended up doing stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise done. Let's think of an example, right? So today I woke up feeling terrible, right? And I don't know why. I felt really weird. A feeling that I've not really had for a very long time. Sort of like a entire body anxiousness, like you got some big assignment or assessment coming up, but there was nothing really wrong. So at that point, I'm feeling a bit weird, right? I don't know why I'm feeling like this. I've got a few reasons, but I'll tell you what happened. So yeah, I'm feeling not great. I might have 10-15 minutes to have a think about that. And then you know what I had to do? I had to get up. I've got clients to answer. You know, whether it's my Patreon clients or my eBay customers or some other things that I'm working on. I've got videos to film. I've come outside. And I'll tell you right now what a direct consequence of that is. I'm sat in the lovely sunshine. I've been riding on the bike. I don't think you can see it there, but you get the point, right? I've had a really nice day. You know, I think a lot of things are a lot more simple than a lot of people like to think. And I understand why people think that they're complicated. Because if you don't have the answers to your own problems, to you, it is very complex. If someone else can solve it, if they genuinely can, please go to them for advice. Everyone wants to seek advice of someone who knows something. And if you find that person, that's a good person to do it. But I'm not really here to talk about mentors or counsellors or anything like that. I'm here to talk about, let's say, the way that we feel in ourselves, right? Misery, nervousness, anxiety, feelings that I feel, I think it's feelings that everyone feels. Self-doubt, worry, all this sort of stuff occurs commonly. Now, as I say, there's enough people that tell me, you know, well, if you feel like that, slow down. Stop working so very hard. You'll be fine. And I will. As I say, I live in the UK, right? I can't really, and I know it's a very privileged thing to say, so, you know, I'm aware of that, but I can't really mess up here. The worst option is you get a poorly paid job, and, well, that's really it. It's not a great existence in that case, but it's not terrible, right? So what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is this. Because we can fail, because we can live on 10%, right? Go to work, come home, and you can live. I'm not saying it's going to be a great existence, but you can. Because it's like that, we can coast. Like, everyone needs some downtime, so please don't get me wrong. But what I mean by that is we can literally coast forever. There's no real need to ever do anything properly, or seriously, or substantially. And a consequence of that is it might lead to a lack of meaning, a lack of direction. And like I say, I think it's because so many people probably feel like that. A lot of people don't have the answers either. We're in a very confused market. But I'll tell you something as well that I believe to be 100% true. Being directionless is not a nice feeling. And it's also not a state that people are made or meant to feel for prolonged periods. Now, in my head, this means that a market that perpetuates being okay with not feeling great isn't one that we should look up to, right? Everyone should feel okay and good and happy. And it's easier said than done, because we all want to achieve different things, and we live in a world where so many things are set in a certain way, and if you don't achieve this, then you're a failure. So I understand why it's so very difficult to appeal to everyone, because it is. Life's multifaceted, we all want different things, but we're told that we should want certain things, which is going to create certain holes in, I don't know, in the fabric of people's being, I guess. Not to make it overly deep, but I think that's how it must be at some point. Maybe it's just a natural way that people think and feel, but I think people a lot of the time compare themselves to others. And on the subject of this video, in the context of, well, life conditions, it means that we're looking towards other people that are not fulfilled, or not happy, or not where they want to be. And I think this is where we get the actual culture of, misery from. Because when everybody feels like that, and there's no escape route, because it's very, very hard to actually come to terms with, okay, certain things are in the past, what do we do now to make sure A, they never happen again, or B, I can address today's issues, or sometimes even both. That's a much more difficult question. So people struggle with it, and I make videos like this to say there is hope, there is happiness in the world, and there is freedom from your issues. But like I say, when we're in a market today in the world where so very many people have bought into this idea that the world's so miserable and life's so bad, look at this, right? Yes, it's a bit run down, and yes, the trees could do with a cut, but there's always beautiful things around. And like I say, this is a prime example, because now I'm in something that I'm really liking. I had the option this morning to do nothing. I might have sat in bed and complained all day. I might have, I don't know. I wouldn't do that sort of thing because I get up and do it, right? But it can happen. But it doesn't need to be, and arguably shouldn't be, like that. Because, the world is an amazing place. We are in a time where it seems like, the message of being miserable is fine. And what is or is not success, what is or is not happiness, I can't say. It's different things for everyone. But to quote what sounds like something that's quite obvious and quite basic and quite cliche, dreams don't work unless you do. And whatever it is that you want to make happen, it's not coming for you. It's not coming for you unless you chase it. So, does that mean that you need to adopt my approach and maybe just go for it when you don't feel like it? Does it mean that you need to do something different that you're not doing now? I don't know what it is. It's going to depend, like I say, on the person very much. And it's up for debate, I suppose. But that's my thoughts on it. So, yeah, I think we live in a world where we're told that misery is just a norm of today. And no, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. But if you do feel like that often, I think you need to break the cycle. Again, easier said than done, but definitely not impossible. So, I guess next time that you have, negative feelings, feel like you can't try it for today, feel like it's time for another day of relaxation, rest, thinking about what's going on, always be conscious, always think, but don't trap yourself, because there's no need for it. We live in such an amazing world, and there's always stuff going on. There's so many opportunities out here, there always is, and there's so many different things that you can do every day. You can make the dreams happen if you chase after them. So what that's going to look like, I don't know, but I just wanted to make this video to talk about it because I feel like not many people do discuss it, but it does seem to be a product of the times. We need to get on with stuff regardless, whether we like it or not, whether we're happy or not. I think, take that time to reflect. Again, be aware of things, don't make mistakes again, learn, but at the same time, don't trap yourself in a bubble of both either the past or misery because it's told as the normal thing, right? Normal is not exciting. Normal's standard. Who wants to be normal? And especially if the normal's not fun or happy, I've got no interest in that being me. That's what I'd probably end this video on. I mean, good luck to everybody out there, and I wish everyone a happy life, I hope that you're going to come and watch another video, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I want everyone in the world to try and be happy, but does it take some initial pushing through things that might not feel right, that might feel difficult? I think it does. No matter what it is that you want to achieve, going from step one to the end destination 100% complete is difficult, it takes time, and it's a hard working process. But if you find the ability to complete it, you find the ability to be happier than you ever could before. It might sound like a bit of a rough message, but it's a message for positivity. Be the change that you want to see. There's a lot of things that we can complain about, but there's a lot of things that we can't control. There's a lot of things that we can complain about that we can control. And if we want to moan about anything, it should be those things, but spend less time complaining and more time actualising the dream. Whatever that looks like. I'm not here to say what it is, but I am here to say that I think you can do it. So let's make it happen, guys, right? Why not go out there and be amazing? I wish you all luck, and I love you all. Good luck, and hopefully I'll hear some comments on your thoughts down below. Thank you, and again, I do hope I'll see you in another video. See ya.